And Jesus said to the man who was possessed, "What is your name?" And he answered, "Legion, for we are many."
This is the Horrible Film School. Take a seat and slowly rip open your Trapper Keepers. I am Chris, and I am here with Professor Hootie.
It is not in the file.
It's never in the file. Also joined by the Virgo killer himself, Professor Nasty.
My horoscope's a fucking Scorpio, bitch.
But looking over the list, Virgo seemed most appropriate for you.
You guys see what I got?
He's got to show it up. He's holding it up to the camera there.
The listeners cannot.
Explain what you're holding there.
Right now, what I'm holding...
That's bad.
I'm holding... What the fuck is the name of the Regal?
Limited edition Regal
Limited
popcorn
edition
bucket.
Regal popcorn bucket. Only given out on the first release day of Alien
Thursday night,
Romulus.
actually.
Thursday night. This thing is so fucking sick.
It's got the face hugger on there. It's like breaking out of the glass. It glows.
It's so
It's pretty
fucking
cool.
big. You were supposed to put popcorn in this shit.
You want to tell the folks the story of how you attained that? I was
All right.
along for the ride.
All right, we went there a little bit. What was it, like 9 o'clock?
Yeah, it was a 9:30 showing. We got there about 9.
A little bit later, 9 o'clock. Apparently, a bunch of scalpers had come in earlier that day.
Bastards.
Didn't even really like pay to see the movie. I don't know how the fuck they got behind the counter or got through the thing.
Yeah, the kid told us they just came in to buy like 3 of each and then left.
They
like
fucking
a group of people?
I over the course of the day, I'm sure it was like a bunch of people or whatever. But anyway, the scalpers came through, bought every single last one, and I'm sitting there dejected. Had my
He's a
knife
real
in my
fan,
pocket.
man.
I was thinking
God.
it's a bad. I was thinking some fucking fucked up thoughts.
Whoa.
But then, almost like a beacon of light out of the darkness, pierced the darkness. There was one left. Like, my brother noticed it. It was a display model.
What about
sitting
the display
in the fucking
right there?
in the display right there. And then Chris mentioned it, and me being the fucking Alpha Sigma Chad I am. Yeah, y'all gonna sell me the display model? This kid looked at me like, I was fucking crazy. I said, "You're gonna sell me that one."
He was
He
a
said,
cool kid.
"Let me talk to my manager." Got him over there. We got it, guys. We got this thing bought.
Sealed the deal.
Sealed the fucking deal. I got it listed on eBay right now, $120. It could be yours today.
Naturally, you're just another shitty eBay scalper.
No, I'm keeping this thing. It's too sick. Too dope. I kind of want to put like a blue liquid in there. Maybe like toothpaste with a bunch of water or like a bunch of like Listerine. And just
You gotta
have
put
it
the
like...
black fluid in there, man.
Nah, what would that be, oil?
There's only a handful of popcorn buckets I've considered buying, and that's one of them.
I wanted to get the Dune one, but that was to stick my dick in it.
Yeah, the Dune. The Dune started it all, man. It's a thing now.
The Wolverine one's kind of close, depending on how big you are.
I haven't seen the Wolverine one. I bet it is cool, though.
Shove your fist into its mouth.
Nice. I know the Beetlejuice one's supposed to be the next big deal. Excuse me, Beetlejuice.
This was very smart for theaters to come out with this limited edition, like, merch type deal. Because, they've been bleeding money. Like, people don't really go to see movies all that often anymore compared to how it used to be.
You get that I was there opening weekend type of souvenir ticket experience.
Yeah, it's a good thing Romulus didn't suck. Otherwise, I would have fucking felt bad.
Yeah, that'd have been shit. Because
I
it's printed
bet
all
if
over
it
the
was-
bottom, right? I think it's even printed underneath. It's like Alien Romulus.
Yeah.
Only in theaters, IMAX, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, if it was shitty, I would have fucking sold that movie or sold it on eBay already. So we all saw the movie. We didn't see it together. I think Hootie went
Opening
and saw
weekend, we did it.
some other day. What do we all think of that movie?
I thought it was a lot of fun. I enjoyed it. There was some CGI, not to spoil anything, that ran on a bit too long, as we always say in these movies. It's the less, the better.
I would just kind of reiterate that there's a piece of the film that CGI it's really, really bad. I saw it with the elder Hootie, who wanted that popcorn bucket that Joey now holds. And another piece of it I thought was cool, and to my knowledge doesn't occur in any of the rest of the films, is the automatic tracking gun.
Yeah, that was
Pretty
cool.
piece.
That was very Call of Duty.
See, no, I think that it might not be the exact one, but it's definitely similar to the one in Aliens. Like,
Yeah, I don't think it is. It's not
automatic,
demoed
like-
in the same way, yeah. But seeing it respond in her hands was cool.
Oh yeah, for sure. I thought it was fucking dope. It's like an amalgamation of like every other fucking Alien movie, all in one. Yeah, I guess I'll jump on this bandwagon. When you watch the movie, you'll know exactly which part of like the CGI face tracking, whatever bullshit. What is it they used in Star Wars for the one guy who had died? There was like a word for, was it AI? I guess
For Peter Cushing, yeah, there's an actual actor there, but it's like a face map they're putting on another actor.
They did the same thing for this too. There was a face map there, and it's fucking terrible.
It's like the de-aging tech they use for Indiana Jones and all that the last couple of years.
Oh, it's so bad.
It's becoming more and more prevalent, man.
That, and I feel like the climax was probably gonna be pretty divisive because it was definitely a callback to it's not Resurrection. What is it? Alien? Is it Resurrection?
It is Resurrection, yeah.
Okay.
Because Sigourney Weaver, she gets resurrected, right? Because she dies in the third one.
Well,
right?
I'm just talking about the end of Resurrection.
She's like a clone. The fourth one is a clone version of Ripley, right? That's the resurrection part. I don't know. It's been a while.
Forget.
It's like 1998.
I thought it was more like they're trying to resurrect the franchise after 3.
I mean, basically that too. Resurrect that cash flow.
But yeah, overall, go watch it. It's really good. Fede Alvarez did a wonderful job. I do feel like he kind of copped out though, in terms of like his own vision. Like it started out, he had his own vision for it, and it felt like he just started taking like bits and pieces out of the other Alien movies and just mushing them into one. Still good though. I enjoyed the fuck out of that movie. And Andy was the shit. He was so
Andy was
good.
great.
Oh my god,
that actor was awesome. But apparently he wants to co-direct an Alien vs. Predator movie with the Prey director, Dan Trachtenberg. I heard that on the internets. That'd be pretty interesting. But I thought Prey was really good.
Prey was good. I don't know why we have to have this versus film. I mean,
I think it was just like somebody just asking that question. They'd be like, "Oh, I'd love to do that with my buddy Dan Trachtenberg." Because
I got you. Okay, that's bad.
I don't think it was like we got a script in hand. We're fucking doing it.
How about
we're doing it live?
How about this? We blow the fucking lid off this bitch. Alien and Predator versus Cloverfield.
Oh, I was thinking Pumpkinhead. Damn it.
What? Versus Pumpkinhead?
Pumpkinhead.
That would be so fucking fast. That shit be over. What do we got? What is this, a fucking YouTube short we're trying to watch?
Battle Royale. That's what we need. Just throw like all 64 of the big boys in there.
Ed Harley is wearing that Xenomorph's ass out.
You crazy, Ed Harley. You crazy for this one, Ed Harley.
Some other interesting news. I don't know if you guys heard about this. Retro Realms, which I guess is a gaming company, are releasing a Halloween and an Ash vs. Evil Dead retro-style 16-bit video game on October the 18th. It looks pretty fucking cool.
Fucking sick.
It looks like Contra.
Yeah, it's like old school Super Nintendo graphics, but you're playing as like Michael Myers and Ash.
Dude, this renaissance of like horror video games is fucking sick, man. I wish I had more time to play.
Also, thought this was pretty interesting. I didn't know the A24 was doing the Friday the 13th prequel series, but apparently it is still going on.
Oh yeah, they got a new
Crystal Lake,
showrunner,
I think
right?
it's called. Yeah, I think Brad Caleb Kane is his name, is now the showrunner.
It was like dead in the water.
I didn't realize it was an A24 production. That adds, as we've mentioned before, a level
Peacock?
of prestige. I don't know who's going to air it, because A24 is usually a film distributor. They usually sell stuff to HBO, though, so I don't know.
I can't see HBO paying for a horror fucking like miniseries, TV series.
Franchise fodder? Yeah, I don't know. NBC did do Hannibal, so I always like to mention that.
I feel like I've seen the imagery of that show with the Peacock logo.
I want to see your peacock, cock, your peacock, cock, your peacock. Man, that song was dope. She was talking about dick, wasn't she?
I think so. Also, this was as of today, 28 years later, has wrapped filming. I didn't know it was actually being made, but it's done. They've shot the damn thing, dude. So,
Cillian Murphy?
Cillian Murphy is a credited member of the cast.
Fucking sick.
So is Aaron Taylor Johnson.
Ooh.
Jodie Comer and Rafe Fiennes, Voldemort himself.
That's fucking sick.
He's got to be like one of the villains, right?
He's probably going to be military. Like, these movies always have like a military presence. Did you say Anya Taylor-Joy's in this?
Aaron Taylor Johnson. That's why I stuttered. I was like, their names sound so similar.
Isn't he? What's that motherfucker? Craig or Krampus? Who's
Craven.
Craven the
Yes.
fucking owner. Okay.
Yeah,
All
that
right.
kid. He's got chops. He was in the short list for James Bond.
He was in a Bullet Train. He was so fucking good in Bullet Train, man. He was so fucking good in Bullet Train.
Yeah, I know we kind of mentioned it a few months back as being like a rumor, but apparently it's done. They shot it, so looking forward to
That's
that
awesome.
one. Cillian Murphy's got to be playing some version of his 28 Days Later self, right?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Was he in the second one? I don't remember.
No,
in
he
28 Weeks
went in.
Later.
He went in the second one.
Idris Elba was.
So this dude's been living this shit for 30 years. Remember how skinny he was in 28 Days
Yeah,
Later?
I think his character was like in his 20s in the original movie. So he'd be 50 years old. That's not crazy.
All right, moving on. Most important bit of news in the horror industry I have as of this moment. Keep your eyes open because this month, the General Mills monster cereals are returning to shelves. Boo Berry, Count Chocula, Frankenberry, and last year's latest edition, Carmella Creeper, are back with all new marshmallows. And for the first time ever, their own pets.
Carmella Creeper. Is that the
Frankenberry
fucking,
comes with fucking
woke
bat
cereal?
marshmallows.
What the fuck is that? What is Carmella Creeper?
I don't know. She comes with snake marshmallows.
Which
Blueberry
one's-
has a little ghost cat, and Count Chocula has a little chocolate spider.
Which
marshmallow guy.
Which one does Little Man like the most? Gotta be Count Chocula, right?
He's Blueberry so far.
My band, Boo Berry, let's go. It's the closest thing to like Captain Crunch, like all berries.
The rest of the chocolate cereals don't matter once you've had Reese's Puffs.
I beg to differ. I'm so fucking weird about my cereal, man. Raisin Bran Crunch.
I do like Raisin Bran. Waffle Crisp is where it's at, though.
I didn't know that they went away.
Waffle Crisp?
No, the whole Halloween cereal
Dude,
genre.
I
Yeah,
haven't
they're
seen
seasonal. They're
Halloween
seasonal.
candy since like '94.
You'll see them on the end
Or
caps
Halloween,
right now.
Halloween cereals.
I bought my first box like in my adult life last year because me and the boy were in the grocery store. And I was like, holy shit, look at this. He's like, I want that Blueberry, Dad.
That's the difference in having kids and not having kids. I almost never walk down the cereal aisle as an
Oh,
adult.
you're crazy. I'm
All
always
kinds of
looking
new
at the
juices and shit you don't know nothing about.
I'm always looking for the latest flavor of Pop-Tart.
Tell you about the latest Kool-Aid jammers, bruh. Them things be popping.
San Diego Comic-Con just wrapped up. Mr.
Yeah.
Bruce Campbell was on a tear of doing small interviews. And I found out through him that Peacock has a new show coming out on October 18th named Hysteria, which stars Bruce Campbell.
It's like a darkness in the night.
It's a horror show that looks like it's going to have a lot of mindfuckery involved.
Does it look like rated R, or is it more like, what's that show, Ghosts or some shit, where it's
Oh
like
my
family
God, I hope
friendly
it's not
comedies? I've only ever seen promos for that. No offense to anybody who enjoys that.
I've only seen one teaser trailer that's about a minute and 20 seconds long, and it looks like it's going to be better than Ghost, but not like Evil Dead blood stuff.
Not Ash versus Evil Dead style. Okay.
Yeah, correct.
Good for Bruce. I'm glad he's still getting some credits in the world. All right, boys. Today's assignment is 1990s The Exorcist III. The lesson for today: Jesus loves you. Everyone else thinks you're an asshole. Interestingly enough, is spoken to a character named Joey, Father Joey. Thought that was fitting.
Oh, Father Joy.
Hello, Joey.
Father Joey.
Espiritu Santos, nome de Patre, gozar Karashka.
All right, taking the reins. This was my choice. A movie we set up back in March for my birthday. So, ready to pay this bad boy off. Let me start with some fan reviews here. Try to mix it up a bit this time. I know I usually go for like the 1 out of 10, 10 out of 10 folks, but they get kind of repetitive. So, with a bit more variance here, I'm going to start with one of the lower scores by way of IMDb called Overall, It's a Boring Mess from November of 2018. A lot of people say it's a brainy horror movie, and it's not for everyone, and I couldn't agree more. It is definitely not for me, and I assume a lot of fans of the horror genre won't like this either. It's more of a crime detective movie than a horror movie. It has no gore in it, and only a few scares, but mostly filled with people talking. The best horror movies out there don't try to be smart because there is no need and no audience for it. To be honest, I think most people expect a horror movie to be bloody or scary, and not solely clever. So with all that being said, I think this movie misses all the ingredients a classic horror needs. all we are left with is a pretty boring mess. 2 out of 10.
See, that's such like a smooth brain take to me, in all honesty. The movie was made, what, like 89, early 90s, right?
Yeah, 1990, so assuming they shot it in 89.
Back then, you expected gore when it came to like a horror movie. Like you went to it expecting that.
You're coming off the 80s franchise father.
Yeah. I feel like with modern audiences, they should be able to appreciate this movie more because it has less gore. Because we see gore in every fucking thing, you know what I mean?
Always seen Terrifier 1 and 2, back to back.
Yeah.
We've seen the levels.
Well, we just see it everywhere, like in
levels of shit.
In modern television, the news, the internet, all this shit. So you think somebody like a moviegoer, or I guess somebody that would want to willingly watch Exorcist III would appreciate the fact it doesn't have a lot of gore. It has some gore in it. Like don't get it mistaken. This movie has, if you're watching a theatrical cut, it's got some gore.
I'll be honest, I kind of agree with it. I don't agree with its score, but it plays like a true detective, heavy monologue-driven film.
Yeah, it's definitely a movie that is directed by a writer, I guess, is a criticism I could throw out there without being offensive, because the words are kind of what make this movie what it is, which I appreciate, but that's me.
I think there's beauty, though, in the way that they describe the gore without actually showing it. Like they allow you to paint a picture in your head that, that what they could put on the screen can never live up to.
But again, if you're thinking about a modern audience's take on this, if you're a 2-screener, like somebody who wants to play on their phone while they're watching a movie, none of that's going to ring true to you because you're not going to see it. If you're not paying attention to like a dialogue, you don't know about these horrible things they're describing. All right, moving on, positive spin here, by way of IMDb as well, titled Brilliant Mix of Police Procedural and Supernatural Thriller from February of 2009. George C. Scott is amazing as the main character of this film. He once said, in terms of reviewing other actors, he looked for joy of performance. Here he shows all the joy you've ever likely to see in a movie. Also good as Dorif as the personification of evil. In the dream sequences with James Burris, Ed Flanders, and Patrick Ewing are particularly striking. Filled with moments of insight, poignancy, and surprising terror, the film is a favorite of mine in the Exorcist trilogy. The scenes between his colleagues and his priest friends shine in particular. Watching this makes me long for a George C. Scott police series that never was. 9 out of 10.
Hootie, I saw you make a face when he was talking about my man
dunking on Patrick Ewing. Was that it?
No, when he was talking about Bill Kinderman's performance or George C. Scott. He giggled to himself.
I want to get into it. George C. Scott is fucking unhinged in this film.
Dude is on fire, man. Imagine a TV series following that guy around for like the next 2 weeks after this movie ends.
Well, imagine this guy being your boss at like a fucking Costco or something, screaming about like stocking the shelves and making sure they're like correctly fucking rotated.
I've never seen Patton, but after watching this film, I get it.
All right, talking to the crew here. This is kind of ironic. I got 3 credits listed here, all belonging to the same person. This movie was directed by William Peter Blatty, written by William Peter Blatty, based on Legion by William Peter Blatty. It just kind of speaks volumes for what this movie is. It's pretty wild that one person could be this entrenched in this story, considering it's a sequel. Not necessarily the third in the series, because that's not how it was originally planned. Of course, he's known for his 1971 novel, The Exorcist, and the screenplay for the film, for which he won a Best Adapted Screenplay Oscar.
Yeah, his only directing credits at all are for this movie and the Ninth Configuration from 1980. Have you seen that, Hootie?
I have not, but I think the entire cast, besides George C. Scott, is in the Ninth Configuration.
Thought this was pretty cool. I read about him. He was born and raised in New York City. He got his bachelor's degree in English from Georgetown University in 1950. Obviously, that's a big influence on his writing. And he got his master's degree from the George Washington University.
I guess, isn't Georgetown like a Catholic school?
It is a Catholic private school outside D.C.
Had to be.
Yeah, it's all over the first movie and big time all over this movie. So, obviously, that time of his life is important to him.
And he apparently is he still alive? I didn't look that up.
No, past 2017.
Okay. Well, apparently he was a huge Georgetown basketball contributor and just supporter, and he loved the Georgetown basketball team, like Allen Iverson, Patrick Ewing. Those were his dudes.
I wonder what he thought about Patrick Ewing coaching that team into the fucking ground.
Yeah, they're in a bad spot.
I wonder if he could have got AI to be in The Exorcist IV. That'd been fucking dope.
That'd been awesome.
Cornrows and all, baby.
I was watching this little clip they had on Sports, not Sports Center, but ESPN, when Chris Tucker was talking about meeting like the Knicks or some shit, and he met like everybody except for Patrick Ewing. He was saying he was looking around for Patrick Ewing, and he couldn't find him. He looked on the side of the fucking hotel, and the guy was scaling it with a white woman in his hand.
Jesus Christ,
like
Chris
a
Tucker.
fucking gorilla. He fucking roasted his ass, dude. You need to watch that shit.
That's that prime Chris Tucker joke.
Yeah,
right
look
there.
up Chris Tucker roast Patrick Ewing on YouTube. It's fucking worth it.
All right, let's step behind the scenes, dig up some factoids for you here. Let's start you off with a banger. Blatty conceived The Exorcist III with William Friedkin attached to direct. When Friedkin left the project, he adapted the script into the 1983 novel Legend. Morgan Street Productions bought the film rights with Blatty as director. How many times has this ever happened? Someone writes a movie, turns it into a book, and then adapts their fucking book to make a movie.
It's pretty badass.
Dude's fucking passionate about this story, man.
Yeah, and I think Legion actually went on to be like a bestseller. I kind of went down a rabbit hole. There was a lawsuit he tried to file against the New York Times because numerically, Legion was a top seller for like some sort of week or month or some bullshit. But they wouldn't
What do you mean
list
numerically? Like volume?
in terms of volume of actual sales. So he tried to sue the New York Times because they didn't put it on their list of bestsellers. And it turns out that their list is pretty much generated based on their preferences for books and not actual numeric values. Yeah, it was like a $6 million lawsuit he tried to file, and they threw that shit out. The New York Times won based on like free speech.
They're pointing it as the New York Times bestseller list as opposed to the world's bestseller list or something, you know. It's like a product they're creating. Also, this is kind of probably the big note of the movie. Designed to be a standalone adaptation of the novel, the final cut wound up being an official entry in the film series due to Morgan Creek demanding last-minute changes. Some of the original footage appears permanently lost, but Scream Factory did release a director's cut closer to Blatty's vision in 2016 with footage assembled from various scenes, a.k.a. the Legion cut.
Can I bring up IMDb scores?
Yeah, what you got?
So, the original version, which I'm assuming we're going to review right now, sits at a 6.5 on IMDb.
Pretty respectable.
The director's cut, or also known as Legion, sits at a 7.3.
Yeah, but that right there is weighted because I think the Legion cut probably has a shit ton less ratings.
Well, I mean, you know, we can all chop and screw statistics, but they are what they are.
Because the Legion cut's only been out for like 7 years. It's relatively new.
I watched both of them, and I have an opinion, but I will hold
It's
that.
something you got to seek out, too. Like, you can't just looking to stream it. You can't really do that, right?
Motherfucker, it's on fucking YouTube in 1080p, 60 FPS, bitch.
That's how I watched it, too, but that's not like the legal avenue for watching the that version of it.
It's on Tubi. That's where I watched it.
You can
Ain't
choose
nobody
the Legion
watching.
version?
Ain't nobody on earth ever watched Tubi.
I watched it.
You the first person to ever
Call
watch
out
it.
right now.
Rudy's the only person with a paid membership to Tubi, even though it's free. I think we share an account on Tubi as the podcast email. I think
We
actually
have a fucking Tubi.
Another interesting note I wanted to point out here. Blatty offered directorial responsibilities to John Carpenter. So John was initially interested but backed out over creative differences. In his book, John Carpenter, The Prince of Darkness, Carpenter says, I kept suggesting a third act exorcism and pushing the both of us to come up with some new exciting and grotesque devil gags. Blatty was resistant. He wanted to direct it, and he wanted to stay very close to his novel. I respected Blatty, figured out he really wanted to direct the picture himself, and felt that I could get what I wanted, so I withdrew from The Exorcist III. John Carpenter said it needed a fucking exorcism.
Yeah, but Blatty didn't want to direct The Exorcist III. He wanted to direct Legion. That's what he wanted to direct. Like, he wanted this movie to have a tie-in with the original story, which it does, a pretty huge tie-in as we'll get into. But his movie, The Ninth Configuration, has a tie-in with The Exorcist as well. Do you guys remember the scene in the movie? It's a very, very short, but very, very unsettling scene where Reagan tells an astronaut that he's going to die up there. All right, that very same character is in The Ninth Configuration. And
the astronaut is?
Yeah, I think they actually have that whole
he die
story
up there?
play out. I've never seen that movie. Probably not going to see it. There's way too much other shit to watch. There's a lot of alien movies I got to rewatch now that I watch around movies, but
I think there's only like 6 alien movies.
yeah, he didn't want to direct The Exorcist III, as we'll come to find out here and talking about, the studio's involvement in changing the movie.
If I'm a producer putting money on the line, I'm gonna put The Exorcist in the title.
110%.
Millions of dollars on the line.
As a studio, you are going to do everything you can to maximize the amount of money you can make. And as somebody who's an artist, a creative, you're going to do everything within your power to preserve your vision. I can see both sides to it. You know what I mean?
I prefer a compromise that Blady tried to convince the producers to the title of The Exorcist 1990.
So it was just called The Exorcist? Or was it with the colon? Colon 1990?
Colon 1990.
That's too close to that Stanley Kubrick bullshit.
Bullshit. You talking about 2001 A Space
Yeah,
Odyssey?
too close. That's too close to that fucking
This
bullshit.
top 10, top 5 all-time movie.
Look, this
Get the fuck outta
motherfucker,
here,
the
man.
only reason he's fucking jumping up, he's a little jump start.
Look at my
asshole.
damn avatar right
His
now.
stupid
on
little
Discord.
avatar on YouTube TV is a little monkey who's looking at a fucking spaceship or something from the
monolith?
movie. Okay,
This
the
is true.
monolith.
And also, look at my avatar in Discord right now. That's Hal.
Yeah,
Both from
you're
2001.
fucking lame.
You're a fucking loser.
What's mine?
Here we go.
I can't even tell. Some lame.
It's a bear with shark arms.
One of us is older than the other, and your guess is going to be inverted, guarantee it. Last note I have before I open the floor here. Obviously, we probably mentioned this every time we've ever talked about The Exorcist. This film became a focal point in the trial of serial killer Jeffrey Dahmer. Detectives testified that he would claim to identify the Gemini killer and would play the film for some of his victims. Dahmer purchased yellow contact lenses to more resemble Jason Miller, as well as another character he admired, Emperor Palpatine from Return of the Jedi.
More power.
Unlimited power.
I think I did that same joke when we fucking talked
You
about
have
this
to,
the first
right?
one.
You fucking
Dude,
have
it's
to.
so creepy, man.
44 million box office on a 10 million budget.
That's pretty good.
It's pretty good, but
Pretty good. This movie had to have done well on home video. I mean, I don't have the numbers, but it seems like it would have done well on home video.
imagine how it would have done if it was just called Legion.
Half that, maybe.
Probably less.
Just because of the actors attached to it. This is right when Child's Play's blowing up, too.
I really like the director's cut title of The Exorcist Legion instead of The Exorcist 3.
Like, canonically, if I look at it, I know, okay, that's the third movie in the... Like, we were just talking about Alien Resurrection earlier. Like, what the fuck was the resurrection about? We don't even remember. And like this, what is Legion? What does that mean to us?
I mean, as somebody who doesn't know anything about the movie at all, that doesn't mean anything.
I had a wild ride of a note here. Morgan Creek and, I'm going to butcher this, Carolco Film Company both wanted to make the film. William Peter Blady decided upon Morgan Creek after Carolco suggested the idea of grown-up Reagan giving birth to possessed twins.
Twins!
What if that would have got made?
I think it did get made like last year.
Hold up. So they read his book and said, let's do it, but let's make Reagan have... How does it have anything to do
Don't ask me.
with
ask
this story?
Carolco.
Hold on, I'm really fucking lost right now. So the Gemini means twins. So would she be giving birth to the Gemini killer? I don't even fucking know. I'm lost. So they wanted a totally different movie. Just write something from scratch.
100%. The Gemini killer was inspired by the real-life serial killer, the Zodiac. Coincidentally, the original Exorcist film was mentioned in the last letter the killer sent to the press. The person wrote, The Exorcist was the best satirical comedy that I have ever seen.
That's exactly what I was going to say. He took the words right out of my mouth.
Boom.
This reminds me of David Fincher's Zodiac. I rewatched that again last year. God, it was so fucking good, man.
Would you fuck me? I'd fuck me. My Silence of the Lambs.
It sounds
like,
like Lambs, but yeah. Zodiac's fantastic.
Fucking Zodiac sent it to him. He sent a fucking letter to the press. Would you fuck me? I was like, what?
The Zodiac is the truck driver from Joyride.
Candy cane. But yeah, this is also the only Exorcist sequel to use tubular bells. That is a 20-some minute long song.
That's totally tubular.
Classic song.
I was playing this shit at work on repeat. Because I was working on some notes at work. And it was a half a shift. I played it for 4 fucking hours.
It puts you in the mood, man. You put the score on.
People kept coming in. It was like, is this like a church? What the fuck is this? It's also rumored that Jason Miller had to share the role of Patient X with Brad Dourif because his severe alcoholism affected his ability to remember his lines. He had what Brad Dourif called wet brain.
Wet brain. That's a new one. I like that one.
Shit, that's the only way I like my brain. You heard me?
It's tough because Blatty didn't say that. He said that Miller was dealing with some issues. So.
Oh no, he was a fucking Jason Miller acolyte. So he wouldn't have said that shit anyway. This dude's all about Jason Miller. He was in the 9th configuration with him.
I trust Brad Dourif here.
Yeah, Dourif's played right.
All right, without further ado, let's go back to Georgetown. Get our exorcism on for The Exorcist III.
Are they calling these Gemini killings in the papers? You must get them to do that, Lieutenant. It's important.
The Gemini is dead.
No, I am not! I'm alive! I go on! I breathe! Look at me! Look at me! And tell me what you see!
I see a man who looks like Damien Karras.
If you looked with the eyes of faith, you'd see me.
Our story kicks off with a creepy POV shot wandering through Georgetown. We've got this eerie voice talking about dreams of roses and falling downstairs, but that's not all. Things get real weird real fast. We're talking demonic growls, street trash flying around like it's possessed, and a crucifix coming to life. Cue the madness, boys.
All right, did you guys find the image of Christ crucified, the giant fucking wooden cross, giant wooden statue? Did that come off as creepy, or did that come off as kind of funny? When the eyes just
I thought it was a little goofy. I was confused what the hell was going on.
It seemed really strange to open the movie that way, right? With like some supernatural imagery like that.
I found JC's eyes thing just very bizarre. I mean, it is creepy if you're a Catholic because you've seen that imagery your whole life.
But it's like, it sets a tone that does not exist in the rest of this movie. I was expecting like, oh shit, this is going to be one of those types of movies where there's going to be like, the pew's going to start walking down the aisle or some shit, you know? Nothing like that.
What is this, a cartoon from the fucking 1920s?
That's what I'm saying. It goes like Toy Story for a minute, and then nothing. It becomes like police procedural.
Well, he messes with statues a few times because the one statue's like holding a knife. He's got like a demon face.
He threw his name all over this motherfucking movie too. I noticed when the titles came up.
Well, he
like,
did everything in terms of like he directed.
I know,
he
no. This is a note I took of watching the movie before I did the research about how like hands-on he was. I was like, this dude autographed the fuck out of this movie.
Well, that's the thing. It's like, all right, the dude's only directed 2 movies. They're based on his works. I think he's proud, you know, of what he accomplished.
This is his legacy, no doubt. I don't blame him for doing so, but it's just it's like when you see an artist signing their painting in the corner. He definitely did that here.
Oh, when I sign my paintings, they're like the actual signage is bigger than the painting itself.
That like everything else is the signature for your signature.
Uh-huh.
Your signature is the actual artwork.
Oh yeah.
How about them rolling the hell out of them stairs, dude? How many poor stuntmen have been thrown down these fucking stairs?
Dude, they can take a fall. I tell you what.
This dude goes hard on this one. It's like a one shot. He's like fucking 20 seconds of brain damage.
Yeah, he's literally like spinning a fucking ass over a tea kettle.
We now meet our main man, Lieutenant William F. Kinderman, played by the gruff and lovable George C. Scott. He's at a crime scene that would turn anyone's stomach. A 12-year-old boy named Thomas Kintry has been murdered. And this is just the beginning of our nightmares. George C. Scott, for those who don't know, won the Academy Award for Best Actor for playing General George S. Patton in 1970's Patton, and he was the first actor to decline the award on the basis of his belief that performances cannot be compared to others.
How fucking big dick do you have to be to tell them to go fuck themselves?
Swag,
What an
bro.
absolute unit.
What
I know Brando did the same thing with his Godfather Oscar.
Yeah, but he
that's
did it a
2
year
years
later.
after the fact.
Yeah. But that was all about like Indian oppression or something, right?
Yeah, he sent a Native American lady there to accept on his behalf, and pretty much was
Native
like,
American. Sorry.
quit treating Native people like shit. And 50 years later, it's we're making some strides. But yeah, he was also in Anatomy of a Murder of 1959, The Hustler, 1961, Dr. Strangelove by Stanley Kubrick, 1964, and a movie called Hardcore. I don't know if you boys are aware of that one, from 1979. That's my daughter. That's the tagline for Hardcore.
Oh shit.
See if that hooks your interest.
Oh, well, the Pornhub's banned here though.
That's a Paul Schrader movie. It's his follow-up to Taxi Driver.
In terms of other horror shit, like he was in The Changeling and Firestarter.
Oh, is that the Drew Barrymore little kid movie?
Drew Barrymore and Martin Sheen.
Oh, she's like 5 in that movie. What the fuck's wrong with you, man?
What? What are you talking about?
You said, oh.
Yeah, Drew Barrymore.
I had never really knew about George C. Scott before this film, so I did a deep dive into this man and found some interesting shit, to say the least.
Oh, you gonna talk about Ava Gardner?
I'm not. You can.
I don't really.
bolster that.
I don't really want to
Did he
talk
kill
about
somebody? I'm interested now.
Oh, he's an abusive alcoholic. And he used to
Ah, damn it.
fucking.
He didn't bring that on
He
screen,
used to
obviously.
he used to tune somebody's ass up.
He clearly didn't look like an unhinged man in this film at all.
He was very level-headed here.
Keep in mind, highly revered actor whose career spanned from the mid 50s to the late 90s. Who do you go into him now?
Okay. He was married 5 times, so that may contribute to the abuse there. He is buried next to Walter Matthau in an unmarked grave.
What the hell? How do we know it's him?
I found that to be very bizarre.
We're going to have to look into that, boys.
It's
Road
legit
trip.
Unmarked. And Scott had never seen The Exorcist. He only signed up for this role after being impressed with Blatty's Legion screenplay. More praise on this dude.
Yeah, this dude's, he's an actor's actor, man.
Dude, rightfully so. He wrote this fucking script and wrote this screenplay for George C. Scott to spread his fucking wings, big boy. Fly like a damn eagle.
Damn straight.
Did we talk about why they had to recast this role from Exorcist 1?
We did not. You want to go ahead and elaborate?
Lee J. Cobb, the original actor who played Detective Kinderman from Exorcist 1, passed in 1976.
Yeah, he didn't make it long after Reagan. He didn't make it to The Heretic. He went out on top. He said, I just made the best R-rated movie of all time. Mic drop.
I mean, he was really good in that film as well, so sadly.
It was.
There's a scene a little bit earlier with a character we haven't talked about, Father Dyer, where he's talking to, I think it's the university president or whatever. But it's an actor by the name of Lee Richardson. He plays Father Healy. And a conversation pops up where they talk about their favorite films. And he says The Fly is his favorite movie, right?
He's got to be referencing the Goldblum, right?
Well, no. He's talking about that one. But the actor, Lee Richardson, actually is a lead in The Fly 2.
Oh,
It's pretty
Jesus.
fucking awesome.
Is that right before this?
Yeah,
When
it's
Fly
right. It's
2 come out?
like a year before this. John Thompson. There's a cameo for John Thompson here as well. I mean, they're on the Georgetown campus, so I guess it's to be expected. But this will be the first of many Georgetown Hoya basketball cameos.
Apparently, walking with John Thompson was the assistant coach, the athletic trainer, and a random academic advisor that were all active Georgetown employees.
Tim, academic advisor, was like, let me just slide up in Hollywood real quick. He's actually won the Best Supporting Actor Oscar 2 years later.
Do you think William Peter Blatty actually just wrote this script so he can have all these Georgetown people in it? Like, now he didn't want to make a movie. He just wants to have a bunch of Georgetown alumni.
It's just like an advertisement for like boosters for the basketball team.
Yeah.
That dude loves his school, man. You can tell it's, like I said, it means a lot to him.
Dude loves his school.
Get out of this story,
and he fucking loves cameos.
Yeah, I guess it's true. It does. We do have a bit of a cameo dump coming up here.
There's a lot coming.
Kinderman, being the stand-up guy he is, takes his priest buddy, Father Dyer, played by Ed Flanders, out to see It's a Wonderful Life. Don't let that wholesomeness settle in. Kinderman decides it's a good time to spill the beans about the boy's murder, and it is not for the faint of heart. The poor kid was crucified. Yeah, you heard that right.
I mean, that's kind of like that's the least offensive thing that happened to the kid, pretty much.
Crucified on rowing oars.
Pretty fucking brutal.
Yeah.
But again, this is all exposited to us through Kinderman talking to his priest buddy here.
Yeah, he's having a crisis of faith, and he just spills the fucking beans to this preacher or this
a father. He's the father. Right? He's a priest.
I don't know.
He's Father Dyer.
But anyway.
But yeah, I mean, you go watch a movie with your buddies, you talk about it afterwards, and like, let me tell you a story, bud.
Can we talk about how when they meet up for this movie, Kinderman goes, "We're going to be late for the picture." Like,
You're going to be late for the picture.
Calling it a picture was awesome.
I love, that's an old white dude thing. Right
Their
there.
chemistry as like actors in this movie is so fucking good.
Oh yeah, Father Dyer is awesome. Ed Flanders is like so natural as this priest.
They have so much. You can tell they really like working together. Like their conversation just flows.
That's what I'm saying about George C. Scott. He seems like he really, if he likes you, he really fucking knows how to be like a good buddy, you know.
Jocular locker room talk, man.
He's a good buddy cop guy.
Jocular.
I had a tidbit on Ed Flanders. Obviously, he was in the Ninth Configuration and Salem's Lot. But for a large part of his life, he dealt with depression as a result of severe chronic back pain.
Oh, shit.
Which is really sad about the man. So,
yeah, I did dig into him. He didn't have as much of a career as I assumed because he comes across as like a legit actor in this movie, but he mostly known for a TV series, a medical drama called Saint Elsewhere. It ran for 6 years in the 80s. I was assuming he'd have a bigger resume than he did, honestly. I thought he was great in this.
Yeah, I got to deal with back pain, too, every time me and the squad play Warzone, and I'm having to carry the fucking team.
Carrying the squad on your back? Okay.
But yeah, Saint Elsewhere, man. That was like a mid-'80s dramedy with Denzel, Howie Mandel, Dave Morris, and Ed Bagley Jr.
Yeah, I got nothing. No point of reference on that there.
You ain't got no point of reference on Denzel?
80s TV shows. I don't know, man.
I know we got to move on here.
Angel Dust.
I had to rewind the speech about the carp swimming up and down.
Yeah, that shit was funny.
I was laughing my ass off, man.
The dialogue in this movie is so fucking good.
It's so well written. It's a writer's movie.
So well written.
He goes, "Father, you're standing very close to me. I haven't showered in 3 days.
You smell it? You smell it?"
It's delivered like straight.
Here's the thing. Fucking Ed Flanders, as Father Dyer's reactions to this story while they're talking, he's not sitting there stone faced. He's literally reacting to the guy's story like he's a friend hearing the story.
He's a good storyteller too, the way George C. Scott lays it out.
I got a little man crush on what they got going on here.
Just when you think it can't get much worse, another body drops. This time it's a priest, and he's lost his head, literally, decapitated in a church. Father Dyer soon ends up in the hospital, and you guessed it, gets murdered too. Our killer's got a sick sense of humor, leaving It's a Wonderful Life written in Dyer's blood. Notice that extra L. Keep that in mind. It's going to come up later. This confession scene was dark as fuck, dude. I watched this at like midnight in the dark, and this voice in this scene just tripped me the fuck out.
It was so fucking scary. It was actually the voice of like one of, now that we know he's got 5 of them, one of Kinderman's actual real life ex-wives.
One of George
One
C.
of the
Scott's
five.
exes? Damn it.
One of
Was
five,
she an ex at the time, or was she like...
I think she was an ex-wife at the time.
She was on the lam? Okay. But yeah, I have the quote here. It was like so disturbing, I had to write it down. We try to do it in this old ladyish voice.
Scrupulous conscience.
17 of them, father. The first was that waitress in Candlestick Park. I cut her throat and watched her bleed. She bled a great deal. It's a problem I'm working on, father. All this bleeding.
Then that fucking laugh, that maniacal ass laugh. Ugh.
And on the second watch, it definitely rang a little bit more true because I knew what was happening. But in the moment, I was like taken aback watching this shit.
To kill a priest, not only in a Catholic church, but in confession,
In the
is
confession booth.
wild. Even in 2024.
Yeah, but again, this is an off-scene, an off-camera death. Going back to our earlier point about how this isn't really scary. Also in here, I think I may have skipped over it, but we had the dream sequence when an amalgamation of a bunch of random shit that Kinderman's dreaming about.
It feels so fucking out of place, man. Like,
It really does.
Which part are you referring to, Joey?
it's like a giant purgatorial train station with recently like deceased victims, and once again, several cameos. We got Fabio as an angel, Samuel L. Jackson as a blind man,
Gorgeous
and
Fabio.
Patrick Ewing as the fucking Angel of Death,
Angel Pat.
who was literally dealing tarot cards to a... I actually like this little tidbit here. It was a deceased Father Dyer with his fucking head sewn on.
Yeah,
So
the stitching looks pretty
it's
cool.
like Kinderman had seen in his mind's eye Dyer's like future death. Thought that was pretty fucking cool.
But he had already died at this point, right? This is the morning of. He gets the
Well,
phone call that wakes
this
him
is
up.
the night before he gets the call. So
Yeah.
we find
so it's
out
like in that it's happening at the same time.
we find out in a bit that he died between the hours of 5 a.m. and 6 a.m. So it happened after the dream.
So you think he was like he's going to purgatory in this dream, like the real purgatory?
No, I mean it's just if there is an afterlife, there. I mean, purgatory is just a place that they figure out where the fuck your ass is going.
And the poor little boy who like greets him and walks him through it is just fucking sad. He's like, "Oh, I'm sorry you're dead."
I'm sorry you're dead. I miss you. Yeah, I miss you too.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought this up because he walks down this little hallway and young Thomas runs up and goes, "I miss you. I miss you too, Thomas." Like, were these two like best buds in the real world?
Hootie's gonna shit on him all day, but I like him.
Well, I mean, it's just great job. It's just unhinged in a couple scenes here that is a little out there. Can we talk about the fact that he brings a grown man a stuffed penguin in the hospital?
Yeah, I actually thought that was kind of cute.
Said it reminded him of him, right?
Yeah, I feel like it goes to show their relationship because they've been like buddies, like buddies for like the past 15 years. Ever since Karras's death, they've been relying on each other to keep going, keep strong for Father Karras in his memory and such. And I like the penguin thing.
Well,
You thought
Joey,
it was
when
goofy or what?
I'm just saying, I had a note. We used to be a sweet country, and if I'm in the hospital, I'm expecting stuffed penguins from both of you.
I'm gonna send you like
Biggins.
Biggins.
the poop emoji, like stuffed poop emoji.
Oh, thank you. Did you get this at Walmart? I skipped over it too, but the bit where Father Dyer's talking to another priest, he's like, "Oh yeah, every year I take him out for his sake on the anniversary of his death to make him feel better." And then Dyer or Kinderman says the same thing to his wife. "I just do a favor for him so to make him happy every year on the same date." It's a budding little sweet moment.
The early years, I want to see like the bromance, like
That's like its prequel series on NBC right there.
we see the beginning of the bromance, we see the end of the bromance. I want to see the bromance between.
And It's a Wonderful Life, more like It's a Wonderful Knife,
I've never seen that. What is
right
that?
in your buddy's chest. You never seen It's a Wonderful Life?
Nope.
It's a pretty depressing movie, actually.
I've seen it a lot.
Is there
It's
blood in it?
long.
Is there blood in it? Is there tits in it? If
There's
it
no,
has
No, it's
neither
like a
one,
family,
I'm not watching.
family Christmas, kind of like a Scrooge movie in a way. Like he's He's like contemplating suicide. He's like down on his luck, Jimmy Stewart, and he's finds out like the meaning of life and Christmas and shit.
Is this the one where that motherfucker's in a flying car?
No. You talking about Chitty Chitty Bang Bang?
Oh yeah, I'm talking
This
about
is a black and white
I'm
movie.
talking about
bro.
Chitty
What a
Chitty
weird
Bang Bang.
connection.
With Jimmy
I don't
Stewart.
know, man.
Yeah. We also get like the blood on the table.
21 individual cups of blood.
Just sitting on the
neatly,
table.
spotlessly on a table.
Perfect little grid there.
This body had been drained of blood.
No drops spilled.
Its head severed, a finger severed, some body mutilation taking place with no blood spilled whatsoever, other than the message written above the bed in Father Dyer's blood.
Here's where it gets really twisted. Fingerprints at each crime scene don't match up. It's like we've got a whole team of killers on our hands. Kinderman starts putting the pieces together, connecting these murderers to a serial killer called the Gemini, who was executed 15 years ago. This Gemini guy had a signature move, cutting off the right index finger and carving the Gemini zodiac sign into the left palm. And wouldn't you know it, our new victims have the same marks. So this is the police procedural that people don't like, I guess.
This is where it turns a little bit because it goes into being that maybe there's not a lot of police work involved, but it's getting more into that True Detective vibe.
More like chasing down the lead than running from. I guess it's the classic question of a thriller versus a horror movie, where in a thriller, you're usually running towards the bad guy. In the horror, you're running away from the bad guy.
That's the thing. Like, how can you run towards a bad guy in this instance when there is no lead? Like, there's no way to establish. Here's the thing.
Where's
All
Mr.
right.
Ciliat?
The movie takes place in the early 90s, right? There's surveillance cameras at this point. This whole thing could have been a really short fucking movie.
Brother, we saw the Jesus open his eyes on the cross. There's definitely some fuckery going on with technology as well.
Oh, for sure.
I think you might be giving Catholic hospitals more credit than they deserve in 1990. I'm not sure
Not.
that well-funded.
I mean, they're super well funded. It's Georgetown General.
This is true. All the money went to that basketball team.
Blame Patrick Ewing for everybody that dies in this movie.
Did you talk about the part of the MO where the killer's victims' names all start with a K at some point?
I didn't mention. I remember he says that, but the way that they explained it and like piece it together is so like not. It doesn't seem as telling to me in this pattern as apparently it is. So.
Well, if you pay attention, like everybody killed for the rest of the movie, as far as we know, has a K name.
Pretty like when they deliver Father Dyer's middle name started with a K.
Kevin. I was like, really? Okay.
Okay.
I think maybe it was just the name Kevin just lacked the kind of punch that I wanted.
You thought of Home Alone.
Something like Claudius or something. That'd be different.
Boy,
Yeah.
Keenan and
Kevin.
Kale wouldn't stand a fucking chance.
It's the same here. Home Alone comes out, like, oh, Kevin. Okay. I know him.
What about Miss Clayla? Oh, Claylia. How the fuck you pronounce her name? What'd you guys think about her and her imaginary radio?
Oh, yeah. I love this lady. I got the quotes from her here, too. I just knew you weren't really a radio repairman. That's a telephone I'm holding.
This bitch ain't holding nothing. She fucking crazy, bro.
I like this lady.
She's in the psych ward, and the psych ward is actually headed by the Herschel from fucking The Walking Dead. Scott Wilson, man.
Kinderman heads to the psych ward and meets Dr. Temple, played by Scott Wilson, who you may know as Old Man Herschel from The Walking Dead,
Dope.
who tells him about a patient in cell 11. This guy's been locked up for 15 years, found wandering around with amnesia. He was catatonic until recently when he started getting violent and claiming to be the Gemini killer. But here's the kicker. He looks just like Kinderman's dead friend, Father Damien Karras. Talk about seeing ghosts.
Can I do we see him like in the room like as a shadowy figure. He
Through
gives
the door
us
frame, yeah.
Yeah, he gives us part of a speech or part of a poem by John Donne from the Holy Sonnets. Death Be Not Proud is the actual poem itself. Can I please read what?
Is it a poem? I always thought it was like a biblical verse. It's a poem?
It's a poem. It's part of a poem.
Okay.
It's like a poem that's chopped up to like make it more, I guess, flowy.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right, have at it.
Death be not proud, though some have called thee mighty and dreadful. thou art not so. Though soonest our best men with thee go, rest of their bones and souls delivery. But thus thou dost thinks thou dost overthrow, die not, poor death, nor canst thou kill me. That shit is so fucking dope. I love Old English, man. Old English is so fucking cool.
Sounds like Shakespeare.
Shakespeare. Shakespeare in Love! What the fuck? What's that fucking movie?
I have no
That's
idea
from
what that
Scary
is.
Movie.
Fuck this guy, Shakespeare!
That's from Scary Movie. That's Brenda, right?
Yeah, it's fucking Brenda
I
from...
think we reference her like every 3 episodes at this point.
Don't she whip out a big ass turkey leg or something during that fucking movie when they're watching like the Scream movie?
Yeah, she's watching Stab. Is it called Stab? Or is that in Scream 2?
No, it's something else because Stab is the parody.
Yeah, she's watching Shakespeare in Love.
Shakespeare in Love.
She's on the phone. She thinks it's cell phone. They're like, hey, what you doing? Oh, I'm at the movie. Shakespeare in Love. Yeah, that's right. Gwyneth Paltrow's up there.
I want to wedge this in. Right, I was going to bring it up, but I'm going to wedge it now since you brought up a satirical horror film. There was a film called Possessed.
Repossessed.
Yeah, okay. Starred Leslie Nielsen and Linda Blair. And Linda Blair called out this film because it came out like 6 months before that one, and the other one was a flop.
There was a race. Which movie would come out first?
She blamed this film for ruining that one.
It was literally a parody of the fucking Exorcist, and she was playing the same role.
So she was shitting on like her biggest contribution to popular culture.
Oh yeah,
and was mad when it
for
flopped.
sure.
I watched the trailer, and
The trailer looks so good, man. It's so fucking funny.
pretty good. The Linda Blair's character says, "God made man in his whatever best form," and then Leslie Nielsen goes, how do you explain Pee Wee Herman?"
Oh, Jesus Christ. So this was like the
Oh,
Naked
fuck.
Gun version of Leslie.
Yes.
He does. He has like a scene where he's doing Michael Jackson. Oh, it's so fucking good, man.
But this is where we meet fucking Brad Dourif here. That dude comes in so fucking hard, man. He changes the movie for me.
Well, wait. Do we meet Brad here, or do we meet Karis, or not Karis? Patient X.
Well, we get like the initial. He sees him. He kind of leaves and tells everybody, "I'm pretty sure that's Damien Karras," and then we go back in there again, pretty much immediately.
Now, if we're watching,
kind of weird editing here.
If
the
we're
pacing is
watching
a
the
little off.
Legion cut, then we're watching Brad Dourif.
Yeah, the pacing is a little weird here, and like I said, I watched these pretty much back to back, so some of my memory might be a little jostled as far as that's concerned. But essentially, yeah, let's introduce Brad Dourif here. Brad Dourif plays James Veneman / the Gemini Killer. He's an S-tier podcast favorite. I don't know how else to describe him at this point. If we got our Mount Rushmore, he's probably on it for us.
Who do we suck off more? Do we suck him more, or do we suck on Tom Savini more?
Or Thomas Jane.
What the fuck? When the fuck do we talk to Thomas Jane?
The Mist.
The Mist.
Every time Hootie has a
The
note on
Mist
somebody.
and what? Fucking Scott Pilgrim? Have we fucking reviewed that shit yet? What other shit's he in?
You just wait for the Mutant Chronicles.
Anyhow, like I said, nothing new to contribute to Brad Dourif, but I did want to highlight his full name, which is pretty fucking cool. His full name is Bradford Claude Dourif.
I think that's actually a new tidbit of information that we've never talked about on the show.
I had to find one.
Claude.
Bradford. That's a fucking awesome name, dude.
Claude is a West Virginia name.
Bradford
Right
Claude Dourif. Legend. If you ever listen to this, you probably never will. We love you. Keep it at, man. You're the shit. He's so well spoken and written in this movie. It's incredible. I would want to hear him read a phone book in this voice like he does in this movie, dude. It's crazy.
Oh, I'd be scared.
I know. It's terrifying, but it's like so relaxing at the same time. Does that make sense?
Imagine him reading to you instructions on like how to make pancakes off the box. Dude, that'd be so intimidating.
All I hear is Chucky whenever he talks.
Really? I thought I would
That's all I
too,
hear.
but in this one, I think he has a toned down version of him that I'm not used to. More like the Grima Wormtongue character, I guess.
Would you say this is, from what we've seen of him, his best performance?
I think so.
I think so too.
Yeah.
I'm glad I'm not alone in this. He is fucking amazing in this
He
movie.
destroys the need for Jason Miller at all in this movie, in my opinion.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Here's the thing, though. Jason Miller actually does a good job for what he's required of in this.
Yeah, but you're matching him up with this. That's the problem.
So we all three think Brad did a great job here. He is.
Here's the thing. I don't think anybody could watch this and think otherwise. Like you were talking about George C. Scott or whatever earlier, being over dramatic. Ain't no way this fucking shit could be over dramatic. He nails it.
Yeah. He has recently, I won't say recently, in the last couple of years, said that there's a lot of stuff in the third act of this film that shouldn't be there. He doesn't go into detail, but that's what he said.
Yeah, I got some quotes from him for the end of the movie. We'll circle around back to, but yeah, I don't know, it's undeniable. It's crazy too because I've seen so many. Like my film education probably begins in the mid-90s when I'm old enough to like watch and understand movies, and so many of these serial killer characters are like not far removed from what he's doing here. And I never knew like this was like one of the first ones of its type, you know. Like we got Kevin Spacey in 7 5 years after this. And I thought that was fucking incredible, but I was like, I could kind of see some of that in this performance too, you know. I do have a quote here from him too. I wanted to read out just to highlight the writing of this movie. This is the Gemini killer Brad Dourif kind of explaining how sick he is, how much of an artist he is. So when I have one that's gawking, I always hold it up so that I can see its body. It's a little extra I throw in for no added charge. I must admit it makes me chuckle every time. Life is fun. It's a wonderful life, in fact. For some.
He prefaces this by saying that the eyes and the sight receptors of a person's head is still active for 20 seconds. So what he does when he cuts the heads off, he literally holds it up, turns it around to see their dismembered, I guess their beheaded corpse,
Decapitated body.
Imagine that being your last, the last thing you ever fucking see.
It's fucking brutal.
I'm not sure you would comprehend it.
Oh, you probably
You never
not.
see it, but like the comprehension.
Well, that's the thing. You're technically, your brain, what he's saying is your brain can go on for like 20 seconds and comprehend stuff. Because all it really needs is blood supply. You're not immediately going to lose your blood supply when you get your head cut off. So I bet you can fucking comprehend it.
Super brutal again, more off-camera exposition about how fucking gross people are and things we do to each other. The body count keeps rising. A poor nurse and Dr. Temple join the list of victims. Kinderman returns to cell 11, and that's when we get the mother of all plot twists. Patient claims to be the Gemini killer's spirit possessing Karis's body. Why? Because the demon Pazuzu, yeah, the one from the first Exorcist movie, is real pissy about being kicked out of Reagan McNeil's body.
See, now they don't explicitly say it's Pazuzu, but I guess we can infer that, because what makes us infer that really is, do you think it's the title, The Exorcist, or...
I think it's The Exorcist and then the staircase at the beginning for me, with the something's moving from Demi's body out into the world.
Yeah. See, now here's where the heretic comes in.
Oh boy.
We wouldn't know that demon's name without the heretic.
Oh, this is true. Pazuzu gets named in the sequel, right?
Yeah.
And that damn.
Here's it,
whipping
because
thing.
I don't think
Yes.
it. All right, I don't. Since this movie doesn't consider the heretic canon, is Pazuzu canon? I think he's used in like the prequels and stuff, like the name's used in Dominion and stuff like that.
Is it in the book? I guess that's probably a better question.
Yes, dude, I have Legion and Exorcist in my goddamn cart on eBay. I just haven't pulled the fucking trigger.
Anyway, it's the same demon, whatever we want to call it. It's the same demon, I guess is the point.
Joey got money for a popcorn bucket. Can't buy the book.
Dude, that popcorn bucket was fucking expensive, but it's worth it.
It was not that expensive, bro. That's a lifetime piece of memorabilia.
Okay, it ain't expensive for you, Mr. Rich Boy.
Well, man, I did save money by not buying it, so yeah, technically you're right.
Are we going to talk about Nurse Keating?
That was a fucking brutal kill of the nurse here.
Is that not one of the greatest jump scares you motherfuckers have ever seen in a horror movie?
In my research, a lot of people say that's one of their favorite of all time.
Like that's a selling point for a lot of people.
It's fucking
it's unconventional.
nuts. It's very unconventional.
We're coming off of 80s slashers right here. Like, how many times have we seen Jason and Michael and Freddy do this type of shit? But never in this way.
To give you a mental image of what's happening in this scene, there's a camera set up down a hall, and it's an extended single frame shot.
It's like a security footage almost.
It's sitting perpendicular to like a reception nurse station, I guess what you would call it, a waiting area. You can see the nurse. You can see some policemen there. There's people in the scene. This is one continuous scene. Anyway, she hears a noise, walks off to check, see what it is. Turns out it's nothing. But then there's a real jump scare. There's like a cheap, genuine bullshit jump scare that you see in any fucking movie.
Which is a cut.
She's startled, but at the same time, she's also relieved that the noise she heard wasn't anything, to be scared of. The policeman asks, "Hey, you all right?" Yeah, I'm fine. I just, got spooked about something, blah, blah, blah. She hears another noise in a locked, supply closet. Goes to check it out, unlocks the door, nothing there. While this is happening, the policemen that's stationed there, they have to go and do something unbeknownst to her.
It's a long, long shot.
They walk out. This is like a 5-minute shot. They walk off. She sees nothing in there. She locks the door back or shuts the door back and turns to walk away. And immediately that door opens up. And somebody stalks her with a pair of those giant fucking spring-loaded surgical shears.
Clock Tower style. You remember
Clock Tower style scissors, baby. But the way the camera zooms in, it's so fucking so jarring. A legitimate, well-earned jump scare, man. I loved it. I thought it was.
It
so
worked
good.
really well. That middle of the night in the dark, watching it by yourself. I really felt uneasy for 2 minutes straight.
Right? Like it lulls you into this false sense of security after she survives the initial jump scare. So you're like, nothing's gonna happen now. This is already over.
Yeah, I thought she would see something and scream, and then that would be the scene.
Like for me, it's on par with a couple of my favorite jump scares of all time, from The Thing, like the blood test and the defibrillator scenes. So.
Like Chum in the Water in Jaws is another one like that, where it's just so unexpected.
You talking about the boat?
Yeah, when he's looking over his shoulder, he's like, "Chum, this shit," and then you just see the shark go. Whoa. Yeah, and the same bit of dialogue where Jim and I is kind of explaining how I came in possession of this body. Do you notice that Brad says it was just child's play?
We all did.
It cuts to that redhead boy. In the wheelchair?
Yeah, and it cuts to the little kid.
Yeah.
This is fucking hilarious.
Awesome.
I appreciated that tip of the cap.
Well, here's the thing. We kind of glazed over it a little bit earlier. And it's actually one of the cooler images, sources of imagery in the movie, is when the detective is paying a visit to the university president and I guess his office or the grounds or whatever the fuck it is. There's a statue in that building defaced by something, and it's replaced.
With the head missing from the statue?
Well, no, not that one. The one where they go to it's where they have the library and stuff for the priests. Anyway, it's a statue in there. It's defaced. The head is replaced with the fucking Joker's head from Batman, and it's given the and a hunting knife in place of a cross. That shit was fucking cool. I really like that. I was talking
about with the JC eye opener thing. He did it again with that imagery.
So is that is that a moving statue though, or is it just someone vandalized it?
It's a statue that was vandalized,
but it's not physically moving or anything, right?
No, it was moved. But it's the actors don't realize it. The audience does.
It's moving during a scene. You're saying off camera?
Yes, when the guy enters the building, it's in one spot. And then when he comes out to investigate something a little bit later, it's in another spot.
Oh shit! I think I might have missed that.
Really, you missed that?
I'm taking notes the whole time,
Dude,
twice.
that shit
man,
was
so
spooky as fuck.
It's a creepy ass statue.
I might have to dig back through that YouTube. Is it in the Legion cut that I can watch for free on YouTube?
Oh, it's in both cuts. You can watch it on either one of them.
It's also on Tubi. We can watch for free, Chris. Okay.
Also had a little quote here from Brad that's fucking great. He says, "It's the smiles that keep us going.
The little giggles.
Bits of giggles and good cheer."
At some point in here, the nurse tells George C. Scott that it's all in the file. And he turns around. Unfucking
Yeah, he
It is
loses
not
his
in
shit
the
on this
file.
lady. He's like fucking hardcore to some of these nurses.
See, now, some people
Not
can
in the
say
fucking
that's
file.
overacting. For me,
Some.
he is well justified in feeling that way because people are being fucking murdered all around him, and he is powerless to do anything.
I mean, his best
He's
friend,
got to
like,
be
Father
frustrated.
Dyer. It's like the one person he loves more than his family, it seems.
Got to
Some
be
could say
frustrated.
it's a little lick-ski into his treatment of women.
Yeah, possible.
Right there.
It's one thing you kill these women, you start killing men that I love. I'm coming for your ass. The Gemini soul is not content with just one body. Every night it hops into elderly patients with dementia and uses them to commit murders. It's like a geriatric game of murderous musical chairs. Gemini also reveals he blackmailed Dr. Temple into bringing Kinderman to him, which ultimately led to Temple's suicide.
Did you motherfuckers start wilding out when Clelia was climbing around on the roof?
That
On the
was the
ceiling?
shit. Wall crawl, y'all, is what I wrote down.
She was
She
fucking
went Spider-Man on his ass.
Spider-Man in that shit.
Wait a minute. That was her?
Oh, that was her, dog.
That was the radio lady.
It
Yeah.
looked like a different lady.
Well, no, it was a body. It was like a guy in a suit.
Okay, that's good.
She did have a shot
That
from
was
the
not
ceiling
her.
looking down over her shoulder. It was framed in a way
That
that her
old
face
ass
was
bitch.
there. Yeah.
And her face didn't look the same to me.
It wouldn't. It
Wish
was
was
somebody,
saying
and it was
'cause she
somebody
was
wearing.
fucking
It was
crazy,
somebody else.
bro.
Yeah.
You're not talking about doing the stunt. We're talking about the same character, Joy.
It's creepy as hell.
But here we also get Gemini kind of like laying out how he killed Father Dyer. How fucked up was that, dude? Where he talked about how like the perfect way you cut this artery this way, lift up the legs, give it a couple of pumps.
Yeah, you stick a
Don't spill a drop.
3-foot catheter directly into his heart, or the vein that goes into the heart. And then he's talking about actually pumping the blood manually with his legs.
Dude,
That's
surgical,
fucking
man.
crazy shit. Honestly, it's like some Jack the Ripper shit.
And we haven't gone too crazy yet with this third act where we're going to get into it, I'm sure.
I think that's when we're going to talk probably about Legion a little bit more, right?
Well, Legion, I think, gives the first clue here because you see Dr. Temple go to his room on his own to, like, talk about something.
Yeah. He
It's
does
the
like
foundation.
he does like some rehearsal of what he's going to say to Kinderman when he comes in the office to like push him down to go visit Patient X, as he's referred to, I think, in the credits. Throughout all these interactions with Brad Dourif, we're also seeing sometimes it's Jason Miller. I guess that's just from Kinderman's perspective. Is that how we're supposed to see it?
I think the way we're supposed to see it is when Patient X is the one talking, or is the one that's manifesting himself. That's Karis, or that's Jason Miller.
Is Karis the non-possessed version of this?
Karis is the body. Karis is the vessel. Yeah, Karis is the
But
vessel.
Karis' soul is gone. As Karis' soul is still in there.
Yeah, his soul's still trapped within the body.
So when he's played by Jason Miller, is he speaking as Karis?
I think he's just speaking as Legion, as like the entire entity within the body.
I was always under the impression that that's just how Kinderman sees him at all times. He sees his friend Karis every time he sees the character. And we're seeing Brad because we're like the third party fly on the wall. Like that's the actual soul in charge
you know what?
of this.
You may be onto something. I'm trying to see it from both sides of how it was supposed to be portrayed in the director's cut as well as the theatrical cut.
Yeah, it's hard to mesh the Legion stuff in there because earlier in the scene earlier in the movie when Dyer and Kinderman are at that restaurant after they watch a movie, There's a scene in Legion that's not in the theatrical cut that shows a picture of Father Karras, but the picture is Brad Dourif.
Yeah.
They acknowledge the fact that that's Father Karras.
Yeah, I'm thinking that just like with several other actors who were recast for this movie, Karras was just recast by Brad Dourif. So Brad Dourif is Karras. Even though that's super confusing for the audience.
Why do we need to see Jason Miller at all? Is that just to remind us?
I think it's to remind audiences because they're going to think... Because that decision was made by the studio, and I think they're doing it because they think the majority of your audience is fucking dumb. It'd be confusing. Like, they wanted to have an actor return from the previous movies, and I guess he would make the most sense because he's going to have the least amount of screen time.
Think about the gap between the films. VHSs weren't... I mean, they were popular, but I don't think everybody just went and said, I got to watch the first Exorcist before I watch Exorcist III.
Like with Romulus, we're like, all right, man, we got to watch all the other aliens. Like, that wasn't really like an option maybe in 1990. Like, shit, let me try to get my hands on the fucking Heretic. I wouldn't know where it had to go about it.
Yeah, I couldn't go to the local fucking library and get a goddamn spool and reel and shit.
I couldn't use fucking Tubi.
You couldn't use it. It's free.
This is a whole episode of the Tubi commercial at this point. Things really heat up when Gemini possesses an old woman and tries to kill Kinderman's daughter, Julia. Talk about bringing homework with you. But then, a guy we haven't even mentioned at this point because it's a super confusing plot point, a priest named Father Paul Morning shows up to perform an exorcism. And Pazuzu's not having it. The demon takes over, and Father Morning gets a supernatural beatdown.
Let me tell you what. When this Father Morning motherfucker steps off the elevator, the first thing that popped into my head was, they call me cowboy, I'm a singer in black, so throw your finger in the air and let me see where you at. This motherfucker
comes
in like an American badass. God damn. Motherfucker, as soon as the motherfucker gets off the elevator, you hear...
Come on, bitch.
You hear the fucking Gemini killer scream, "Morning!" That's literally what saves Kinderman from being fucking choked to death. Is the fact this guy just got off the elevator.
It's his whole character seems so forced.
It was forced.
I know.
100% by the fucking studio.
They said it cost, I think it was $3 million to
$4 fucking million for
$4
the
million.
character and the last like scenes of the movie, the
reshoots of the finale,
Exorcist scene. Yeah.
Wow.
Wild shit.
But I mean,
boy.
this is the exorcism. This is what, like John Carpenter himself said, this needed to be in here. But it's presented in such like a ham-fisted way that it's like, what the fuck, dude? This dude has had no interaction with any other character in this entire movie up to this point. We saw him like praying by himself one time in his bedroom, and now he's here to save the fucking day because he has a calling or something. I don't know. It's super weird. It kills the pacing of this movie.
He's apparently the only other priest or father or clergyman or whatever on site who has performed an exorcism. So he, by default, he's like the de facto exorcism guy who just so happens to be there.
And then we had the old lady go into Kinderman's house trying to fuck up the daughter. That was pretty dope. We
Boy,
got the whole
shit was sick.
We got the clock tower scissors.
Got the scissors right on the neck.
He's trying to call home, and she's already calling, saying that she was him.
Oh, she's on my way.
Yeah, saying it's like gonna be a nurse, and she waited for him to get there so he can watch his daughter be fucking murdered. That shit was
Gemini
wild.
brutal. Pazuzu or Gemini, however we frame this, again confusing, but it's a savage sumbitch, whoever he is.
Lily said, "I was wanting you to watch." Oh,
This might be our oldest fist fight in a horror film between Miss Celia and George C. Scott.
I mean, Legion's has its own, up to this point, has had its own setup, but here's kind of where the divergence really begins. So let's go through how the actual movie, the theatrical cut, goes down. In the final showdown, Kinderman tries to put Karras out of his misery, but gets tossed around like a rag doll by Demon Karras. Father Morning, barely clinging to life, manages to give Karras a moment of clarity. Karras begs Kinderman to kill him, and our detective obliges, emptying his gun into his old friend. It's a swift-ass ending, man. That's a lot of movie for like 3 minutes, and then it's over.
I like it.
Skin peel was fucking sick. I like the skin peel.
I fucking love the skin peel.
That
And
looked
the
really
fact
good.
that it stayed, it was like the motherfucker had.
Stuck to the ceiling.
It's like he had some cast iron and he didn't get it hot enough or use enough grease. That shit was clung.
You gotta clean the cast iron immediately, man.
When he had his face stuck up there and he was pulling his fucking scalp off, oh, that shit was
It was
dope.
some like Hellraiser type shit, dude.
Yeah, it was.
I did not expect it.
exactly.
Everything
I
up to
fucking
this point has
loved
been
it.
like tame-ish, and this shit was. I think they did all right with this.
See, now imagine John Carpenter.
Because there were snakes and there was like fucking hellfire.
Well, the
and
imagery
lightning,
right here was
Demi's on a fucking
nuts,
cross.
dude. The little kid coming up out of it, man, that was fucking sick.
Let's just throw all the crazy shit we got in this one room and see what happens.
Oh, they just gave us $4 million. We about to do this shit.
But you both hate this ending. Is that what you're?
No,
I feel
fuck
that was
no.
with the opinion. The theatrical version here, you don't like?
No, I didn't say that.
Okay.
I said that. This is the tone. So for me, let me defend myself before you two rag on me. The tone of this film is heavy dialogue. It's not a lot of shit you see happening. It's all just talked about.
Yes.
And then in this last act, the whole tone of the film changes. Wild shit starts happening. And it just seems forced.
It's definitely a product of you finished your movie. Okay, go reshoot the ending. You can feel that. I'll give you that. The tone shift is rough.
I did not hate it. Also, that doesn't mean I'm in love with it. Like, it's definitely, in my opinion, the weakest part of the movie. Is this out of nowhere tacked on shit. However, with that said, I also didn't like the ending of the Legion cut either.
I think the ending of this movie kind of defines the movie, no matter how you take it.
I mean, it really ties it into, hey, okay, this is a fucking Exorcist movie. Without it, it's hard to see. You know, you can see why the studio wanted this in the movie. As much as it might have compromised Blatty's artistic vision or whatever, the fact that he was the one in control of how it played out, I think, does give it a little bit more legitimacy.
Here's a note for you missing from the refilm climax, but appearing in the trailer, a scene of Karis / the Gemini morphing through a variety of faces. It was left out because Blatty was not happy with the special effects work. This was in the fucking trailer. We even talked about how cool it looked in the trailer, but he cut it out of the movie, apparently. So during this whole, like, I guess the priest kind of doing his thing, and then Kinderman fighting back, he's going through, like, 20 different faces.
The only use of like CGI type shit I can even think of is the lightning strikes at the end of the movie, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, other than that, it's pretty practical.
Let me touch on the ending here, and then we'll kind of wrap back around through. There's a lot of notes on the ending, of course, because that's kind of what defines this movie. The movie ends with Kinderman standing over Karis' grave, probably wondering if his insurance covers PTSD brought on by demon-possessed serial killers. Here's where some notes begin. This is a quote from Brad Dourif. We all felt really bad about it, but Blatty tried to do his best under very difficult circumstances. And I remember George C. Scott saying that folks would only be satisfied if Madonna came out and sang a song at the end. Dourif feels that the original version was a hell of a lot purer, and he liked it much more. As it stands now, according to Brad, it is a mediocre film.
Yeah, they definitely wanted to commercialize the movie.
It takes balls to say that, considering like how much of a performance he gives in this movie.
That they had to compromise WPB's vision, like, at all, is where that comes from.
I mean, I totally get that, but if I'm an actor and I do something I feel like is great, and I feel like his work here is great, if you're telling me the best work I ever did, I wouldn't have the balls to say that's a mediocre movie, you know? It just shows how humble he is as an actor, I guess.
I still feel like it almost plays out better, though, with both actors playing the one role. I think it makes it more dynamic, right? Man, more interesting.
I don't mind the effect. It's just it adds a layer of questioning that the fact that you think about this, you have two different actors playing the same character at the same time in a movie with two different endings, two different cuts. It's just, it's just so much divergence. If there was like one vision and it was the two actors, I think I'd be more on board with it. I just don't know what I'm supposed to see as like being correct, I guess is my point.
I mean, you would always default to what the director wants, right?
Yeah, but I think he didn't get that on screen.
That's true. Even with the director's cut, there was still like lost material,
Missing footage,
and the thing is, he didn't put this together.
yeah, it was like fan service and Scream Factory, like
Yeah,
the
he
fucking
fucking,
heroes of Blu-ray horror movies or fucking Scream Factory.
Yeah, he died like
He died the
when they
year
were putting this shit together.
after this was put together. Yeah. How do I know when he wanted Brad and when he wanted Jason? Like, I don't know.
Well, the thing is, he didn't want Jason. His cut, Jason wasn't in the fucking movie.
But he shot scenes with him as an actor, right?
Yeah, at the insistence of the studio.
Was all that post?
The actual Legion cut was entirely Brad. They brought Jason on later. They said, this is how it's going to happen. We're paying for your movie. This is what's going to happen.
I didn't enjoy the Jason Miller tie-in at all.
No, I thought he was good.
He was pretty good, but like I said, you can't give him a screen partner or give him a counterpart that's Brad Dourif and expect.
It's so weird though. I don't know if it's the way that the cuts or the added footage of the Legion cut looked. It didn't feel like the performance of Brad Dourif was as intense in those scenes.
In the Legion cut,
It could have just been like an audio issue or something like that. It just didn't feel as intense.
It was really shitty quality
because you had the dichotomy of Patient X. You know, he was a little bit more subdued, and then with the Gemini Killer, that motherfucker was just off the rails.
Got another note here. The novel ends with the Gemini Killer summoning Kinderman to his cell for a speech and willingly dropping dead after his alcoholic, abusive father dies a natural death from a heart attack. His motive for the killings was to shame his father. The Gemini's purpose on Earth no longer exists, and he kills Karis in order to leave his host body. So in the book, again, like you got to add another wrinkle in here. The book ends one way, Legion ends another way. The actual movie we saw ends another way. All these are William Peter Blatty. Yes, I'm saying it's super fucking layered here. But in Blatty's original screenplay, the ending is similar to the novel, except the Gemini's death is not self-induced, but is forced by the death of his father.
It's up to 4 endings now.
The Gemini's motives are given further context via a series of flashbacks of his childhood and his relationship with his father. So in the original screenplay in the book, this dude has like an abusive dad, and when the dad's dead, he just leaves the body. The detective killing him is only a product of the movies.
It sounds like
choose your own adventure.
Has a Stephen King issue where he can't end the
He has
story.
multiple fucking personalities too. Maybe he's possessed by Pazuzu writing this shit. You guys got any specifics, like what is the Legion cut? What defines the Legion cut? I didn't come up with like any kind of definitive list.
Most of it's a lot of minor shit. The intros are different. Dyer and Kinderman in the original, they reminisce about Karis, how they were friends and how they miss him and shit. Versus the intro card with the director's cut. It's like info about, hey, this is what you're going to see. This is why it is the way it is. Or one of the big ones. There's no Jason Miller in the movie at all with the Legion cut.
I guess I didn't notice that because I watched the Legion cut, but again, I watched them back to back. So
yeah, he's not in it at all. Replaced by Brad Dourif's Patient X / Gemini Killer throughout. And with that being the case, Brad Dourif gets a lot more screen time. Also, in the theatrical, Kinderman and the university president, they talk about Paul Mourning, Father Mourning. He isn't in the director's cut at all. Last but not least, in the director's cut, the fucking Gemini gets blown away.
Yeah, Kinderman kind of just walks down there and is like, all right, I believe in the God and the devil, and I think you're possessing my friend's body, so I'm going to kill you. Yeah, that's it.
That's it. That's how it ends.
Just walks in and shoots him, and then that's it.
Yeah. It's like dirty. It's fucking Dirty Harry
That's
style.
the one Hootie preferred. That's the missed ending for you right there.
It's just super anticlimactic, man. Plus, you don't get that fucking beautiful scrap of dialogue. It's probably the best quote of the entire movie. It comes from the actual theatrical cut. When he has Kinderman pinned to the wall, and he's talking about what he believes in, like talking
about his faith.
Has he restored his faith? Can I do that quote? Oh yes, I believe. I believe in death. I believe in disease. I believe in injustice and in inhumanity and torture and anger and hate. I believe in murder. I believe in pain. I believe in cruelty and infidelity. I believe in slime and stink and in every crawling putrid thing, every possible ugliness and corruption. You son of a bitch, I believe in you. That shit fucking clapped.
Yeah, that's great writing.
Oh, so good.
Glad he can write, man.
The thing, that's the thing. It was forced. The scene was forced on him, and he was able to come up with that. That shit was like super fucking powerful.
I think there's a good middle ground in here somewhere.
Sounds like a man who is officially Pazuzu's daddy.
Pretty much, yeah. But yeah, that's it. Tons of endings, tons of convolution, no doubt about it. But The Exorcist III is in the books, boys. What piece of memorabilia you want to take home from Mr. Blatty's work here?
We all gonna say the same shit.
Well, I've got some pretty overgrown rose bushes in my front yard, so give me those big old stainless steel shears, baby.
All right, the fucking shears, right? All right, the shears are fucking dope. Let's go ahead and talk about the shears a little bit. They make absolutely no sense in the real world. Like, they actually created them for this movie. You would never use those in any sort of surgery, any sort of, like, dismemberment for any sort of fucking thing. But, dude, as an implement of hell, thank you, Albert Fish, dude, I could finally pretend to be Scissor Man from Clock Tower. That would be so fucking sick. But a very close second is that defaced statue with the Joker head and the hunting knife in the head priest headquarters. That shit, I got the Pazuzu statue from Exorcist 1, right? That shit would look so fucking sick out there with that.
Yeah, I wrote one word, shears, exclamation mark. They're fucking dope.
Shears.
They look so clean, man. The chrome, like spring loaded. The way they described it, it's like an old woman could just put like a pound of pressure into it and cut a man's head off in one snip. All right, Professor's great books out. It is time to pass judgment on 1990's The Exorcist Part 3.
So there was 13 years between Exorcist movies, from The Exorcist II to Legion. And for good reason. The Heretic fucking sucked and left a bad taste in people's mouths as a follow-up to what is considered by many to be the greatest horror film of all time in William Friedkin's The Exorcist. Thankfully, The Exorcist III rights the wrongs of its predecessor, in large part by totally ignoring its existence and creating an identity all its own, while also tying into the original in an organic and interesting way. The story of the movie has a natural flow as a sequel to the original, as opposed to feeling forced and tacked on, unlike the named sequel. In the world these movies have created, it makes sense that the events would unfold the way they do, and seems totally within the realm of possibility to occur. For all you Brad Dourif acolytes out there, and you know we are at a horrible film school, we're huge fans. This is BD at his best. He's nothing short of amazing and terrifying and captivating, which can also be said for George C. Scott as William Kinderman. The dude's, he's so intense. He just draws you in with his demeanor and wit. I also really enjoyed the chemistry between Kinderman and Father Dyer, played by Ed Flanders. You can tell those actors really you working together, and the way they interact, they feel genuine. Like the conversations they have are conversations I'd have with either one of you guys. The movie is chock full of memorable scenes, from the dialogue-heavy interactions between Kinderman and Patient X / the Gemini Killer to the static hallway sequence culminating in one of the greatest jump scares of all time. With all that said, a couple of things that stood out to me as pretty weird or disappointing. The purgatory sequence with all the noticeable cameos. And just the cameos in general. They felt so strange and unnecessary. While it was neat seeing so many recognizable faces, it was also kind of distracting. Like, the dream scene just feels like something out of The Heretic, and didn't really have a place in Legion. It was all so surrealistic. Sure, dreams are exactly that, surrealistic, but the movie has an otherwise pretty serious tone, and it just felt out of place. Like, I can't concentrate on a scene because I'm asking myself, was that Larry King, and what the fuck was he doing here? Also, the climax of both the theatrical and the director's cut, neither was anything to rave about. The exorcism visually was cool and metal as fuck, but felt tacked on to justify the movie as an Exorcist movie. It was a spectacle, but it was not spectacular. As for the DC ending, it's a poster child for anticlimactic wrap-ups. I get what Blatty was going for with his vision, but it still fell flat for me. But aside from those minor gripes, I enjoyed the hell out of what I saw and will see for many more viewings to come. The Exorcist III grades out with a B.
1990s The Exorcist III was, to say the least, a blind spot for me. I watched the original theatrical version first and had several questions in regards to how the third act is structured, which we've went over in depth here. The film almost completely changes tones and begins to force in exorcist tropes that we have seen overdone in the last two films. Then I watched the director's cut, better known as Legion, and everything clicked. I realized that this was meant to be more of a detective against pure evil picture, with horror elements thrown in every so often. Legion has a tight third act that fits the rest of the tone of the film, ending with a simple gunshot to the head of the man who claims to be the Gemini killer. In summation, I'm going to give this film two different reviews. The theatrical release was okay. However, Legion was very, very good. Theatrical gets a B-. Legion gets a B.
All right, this was my choice, so coming into it as a blind spot as well, but eager to check it off my list. I'm glad we did. The Exorcist III is an effective psychological thriller. William Peter Blatty's direction creates a more cerebral kind of horror, which you know leans towards my taste. George C. Scott booms, and Brad Dourif is delightful with 2 L's. Some of the plot twists, looking at the ending here, verge on convoluted. I would say probably go beyond convoluted, and the pacing is off, probably due to the fact that I watched these 2 different cuts pretty much back to back. Created a lot of spaghetti in the old brain. But the atmosphere and the performances here more than make up for those for me. The hospital hallway scene alone is worth the watch. It is not perfect, but it is a commendable effort to properly follow up the all-timer that was baked right into the title of the movie. So for Mr. William Peter Blatty, leave my classroom today with a B+. Good sir. Rest in peace. All right, time to recap some audience score guesses here. Part of our Mater Meter game. If you're new to the show, we take a guess at that audience score on Rotten Tomatoes. If we're within 5 points, we choose the next flick. Otherwise, we get assigned random homework. So this was my choice of a movie. I did not take a guess. So between you 2 guys, Low Man Mr. Hootie said a 45% on Rotten Tomatoes. Joseph said a 55%. The actual audience score is a 57% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Fuck you, Hootie! Fuck you! Fuck you!
How about that?
W for Mr. Joseph. Unfortunately for him, he's going to have to wait a bit here.
Oh, damn.
We have a very important holiday coming up in the horror community. Little day commonly known as Friday the 13th, right around the corner for September. So our next episode will have us step back into Camp Crystal Lake.
Oh, yes.
For the next part in our ongoing series of Friday the 13th coverage. We are up to part 5.
Is this a new beginning?
A new beginning, I believe.
I'm gonna fucking queen.
So yeah, we will we'll cover the new beginning, and then the rotation will kick back to Professor Joseph's choice for what to watch after that.
You'll never look at chocolate bars the same after this movie.
All right, folks, so we're going to watch the trailer together on YouTube. If you want to follow along and watch with us, check out our YouTube channel. We'll post it there, and then we will be back here in a few. All right, boys, that there was the trailer. We got nothing at stake here since this is an assigned assignment. Is that even a proper thing to say there? Yeah, nothing at stake here. We can, just for shits and gigs, take a guess at that audience score on Rotten Tomatoes for Friday the 13th, Part 5.
I'm going to say like a 14.
Whoa!
Damn. Actually, you know what? No, that'd be a critic score. I'm going to say like a 25. People hate this fucking movie.
It gives me an idea how bad this is. I don't
As
really
a
remember
Friday the
this
13th historian, people hate this fucking movie.
Well, shit. That changes my score in my head now. I'm going to go with a 35.
I have no frame of reference here, so I'm going to say 40.
I feel like Joey is on one here that actually probably remembers most of this film.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
The way this one starts is like so fucking good.
All right. As far as where to watch this bad boy, looks like it is currently on Max, but it is due to get kicked off there pretty soon. So sneak it in early if you can. Otherwise, it looks like Showtime and Cinemax subscribers might be able to access it. You can rent and buy from the usual suspects, of course. So encourage you to watch along. Thank you for listening. Check out the website, horriblefilmschool.com. You'll find links to all the episodes, our social platforms. You can even find me personally on Twitter. Now I have a Twitter. Holla at me on there. Interact. Say what's up. Also, you can find links to the merch store. But don't forget, you can always support this podcast for free by simply rating and subscribing everywhere that you can. This does wonders for us horror fools. And while you're thinking about us, send us some yellow contact lenses. I am sending my personal support to old women chilling to the tunes of their ghost radio. Kick up your feet and rock out, girl. Everyone else, sleep tight.
As always, if you're hearing our voices, tell at least one person you know. Spread that love. Spread the campaign of the Horrible Film School. As Chris talked about, come talk with us on Instagram and TikTok. We're pretty social on there. And with that, I'm going to go down to my public library and discover a new beginning. And I'm out.
Thanks for all the likes, the subs, the listens, the follows, the downloads. We really appreciate you guys and gals' support, as well as your time and attention. Be sure to join us next time, where evil never truly dies, in 1985's Friday the 13th, Part 5, A New Beginning. Class dismissed.